Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Ashes of Creation September update. We
Oh
hope that
my
you all are excited.
goodness.
I'm cozy. I've got my
I
you know,
know.
autumn sweater on. Tis the
It
season.
is the season now. We are finally in the autumn.
Yes, autumn. It's my favorite season. I love it so much. But of course, we have a wonderful show for you today. We hope that you are excited. You've been waiting for a month. We've been waiting for a month. We've got a lot of stuff that we've been doing internally. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that on the studio update as well. But of course, today's itinerary agenda is we have our reminders. We have an event update. And if you've been following us on social, we've been letting folks know that it's going to be a wave-based combat. So get excited for a little bit of combat action. I know folks are excited for that. I had a lot of fun playing. So
Yeah, we
it's
kicked butt.
healing like a mofo. And then we've got our studio update, art update, and Q&A as per usual. So jam-packed. But hopefully today won't be as long. So, just hopefully you have a good amount of snacks, some water. You don't need to buckle in this time. We'll be will be a little shorter than normal. But of course, first we have some quick updates and reminders. The first one here is that we do have a comment. So today's comment spotlight from our YouTube video from our last development update is the idea behind all these nodes are awesome, but I wonder how it will actually play out in the live version. The problem with having player run towns is that people come and go in video games. So will towns die out, etc.? And this is from Name Is Too. So thank you, Name Is, for subscribing to our YouTube channel and leaving a wonderful comment.
Yeah, this is a good question. And
We do
fundamentally,
get it a lot too.
absolutely, we do. And it is something that's at the forefront of how we, design systems that are intended to provide player interaction and player agency and player direction, right? One of the I wouldn't say downsides, but risks of those types of mechanics and systems is that you do have the potential for either bad faith actors, um, excuse me, or just people who come and go, as you said. Um, and so, we incorporate as part of those designs certain fail safes, certain protections, certain automated progression that takes over when some of those decisions are lacking or are not made, and those decisions can be defaulted. Now, of course, that would have a deleterious effect on kind of the direction that a particular node might want to go because they're going to be doing default behaviors or default actions as opposed to something that might be in line with the strategic objective of that particular node or the specialization that the node has previously been attempting to do. But that is why we have a regularly recurring election period where players can take the reins of power and can elect someone else to come in and participate and rewrite the ship, so to speak. So it is absolutely a component of having player-driven mechanics that there is an opportunity for things to be less than ideal or less than strategic when certain bad faith actors or people leave, but there are safeguards in place.
Perfect. Um, Hopefully that suffices for your Name Is Too. I'm sure you'll let us know what your thoughts are on it. And of course, if you do have thoughts on any of these things, you can head on over to forums. We are very diligent about taking player feedback. The next thing, speaking of player feedback, segue. We have some dev discussions. The one that is currently out, we have our dream nodes. So if you have some thoughts on what you would like your dream node to be, head on over and toss us your feedback. And up and coming, we also will have a dev discussion about basic attacks as well. So definitely, we would love to hear your thoughts. And this is a combination of basic attacks and auto attacks as well, because I think in different games people consider these different things. So we have a lot of questions from the development team in regards to how you would like to utilize those, whether you want to kind of stream them in between your abilities or if you're not interested in that at all. So there will be a lot of questions for you to
And
answer
I
there.
And I do just want to emphasize that these dev discussions are of critical importance to the development team. Obviously, the reason why, and I have echoed this over the course of many years and in these these development updates. But the reason why it's so beneficial for us to partake in a transparent development process is because it affords us the opportunity to collect that real-time feedback and experiences and direction to a degree from the consumers that we are creating this product for, from you guys, the gamers, our community, right? So if you have the time to go and kind of give your commentary on the things that you expect to see out of these types of systems, the experiences that you've had in different games, what you've enjoyed about them, what you'd like to see done differently. It is great because our community team and Margaret helps to shepherd kind of all of these comments into an easily digestible format that the developers then have an opportunity to see what you guys are saying. And that's something that I think is super important to make sure that those touch points of communications between the community and the development team is of critical importance to the development.
And I will say this as somebody who's worked in this industry for a very long time. I love that Stephen affords us that. Not every team gets, two community managers to be able to help with that. But Roshan and Vaknar have been doing an amazing job and getting resounding love from our development team in regards to their reports. So they do a very diligent job in reading everything you guys post in all the spaces. So we really appreciate it. And of course, put a caveat on that as well, because I know there's the counteract of that is that, of course, we're not going to do everything that players say. We do have a vision and direction of our product. And so we're going to try to make the best decisions for us and what we want to create. But it is always nice to make sure that we're all on the same page, because for the most part, that has been the case. So just keeping that in mind.
Yeah, just to touch on that point real quick, the elegance of filtering out the expression from our player base who don't have, of course, in many cases, the experience of developing a product like this, but have the experience of playing them and know what they like and dislike. That is where the community team comes in and helps to filter out, kind of that feedback so that not only is it digestible, but that it's cohesive and can make sense from a development perspective.
Yeah, it's very well done. So thank you. Keep giving us your feedback. I think a lot of the times when you're a player of a game, you're like, why did they make this decision? Well, we're sharing the journey with you. We're telling you why we're making those decisions, and we're showing you each little bit as we move forward. So be a part of it if it's something that you really want. And if you don't, step away. It's okay. You don't have to either. Make a decision that's best for you. Next up, of course, is what are you giggling about?
I'm sorry. I just saw someone in chat put in a picture of me that ages over time into gray.
Oh, you haven't seen that before?
No, I haven't seen that before.
They've been using it on Discord too.
That's concerning and scary.
There's a lot of Stephen memes out there. So some of them are pretty intricate videos too, Stephen. So
oh my God.
He's like, I don't want to know. Next up, this is just a reminder, of course, that the Unseen Order Cosmetics, they are going to be our last pre-order pack set. We have an FAQ on our article, in our article. You can check that out at ashesofcreation.com/news, and you'll see the Unseen Order section. This is the last pre-order pack set, and it is going to end on January 17th, 2024 at 11 a.m. Pacific. This does not mean that we're not going to ever do cosmetics ever again,
yes.
or that you're not going to ever have access to Alpha 2 or Beta 1 or Beta 2 again, but there will just be different forms of how you get access to that, pending whether we think we can support more players for those.
Absolutely.
things.
And I do encourage, as Margaret has in the past, take a look at the FAQ section of that. I went through the FAQ and provided as intricate as detailed answers as I could regarding the potential for future pack sales. Obviously, that's predicated on our internal and external testing periods that we will be incorporating over the course of the coming time. It's important to note, the intent of these packages is not to elicit a fear of missing out response by our community. That is why this last pack will be extended to when is it? January
17th. Yeah.
17th. January 17th.
You got a lot of time, so
there's a lot of time there. In addition, Alpha 2 will be a non-NDA'd testing period that you will have an opportunity to watch and partake in from a viewership perspective, even if you're not participating from a playing perspective. Alpha 2, I can't reiterate this enough. Alpha 2 is not an intended game experience. It is a testing experience. It is something that players who are participating in Alpha 2 are assisting in the development of it. There may be wipes. There will be periods of time where we're taking it down and we're iterating upon it. It is not intended to be a fun experience per se, although I believe it will be a fun experience.
I think it'll be
fun. I think it'll be fun. But but it is intended to test our core systems. It is intended to test our network architectures. It is intended to prepare the game for an official launch, right? So, or prepare us for betas.
And our core systems.
And our core systems. And to that end, do not feel like if you are not participating in Alpha 2 that you're missing out, on something. This is not integral to the play experience you will have when the game launches. And so that's something.
I mean, look at the journey
important.
that we've had so far, right?
Yes.
See where the game was before and where it's at now. Or if you saw the Alpha 1 footage, which is, you can Google that because that was also non-NDA'd. You can see how far we've come from that too.
Absolutely.
So there's definitely going to be a journey here. And you can be part of that, whether you're in game or being able to watch and tell someone else what you want them to do.
For sure.
Maybe we can get the programmers to do a chat character where like you in chat, try to make the character do things. Would be fun. Maybe not for Alpha 2, but that could be a cool experience. But yeah, just wanted to remind people that there is an FAQ. Make sure you check that out, that this will be the last pack set for now. And we are thinking about how we want to move forward with other potential shop stuff as well. I know exclusivity has been a problem that people are concerned about. And I think in future shop items, we will kind of remove some of that element so we can rotate in things. So if you missed it, there will be an opportunity for you to get it again later rather than right now where everything's very much exclusive, but that's kind of how we've had stuff set up. And with that, I think we are on to our events update if you're ready for it.
Yes, I'm ready for it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I didn't do a lot of prefacing this time in the video. To my dismay, after the recording was completed, because now, of course, that's a standalone on YouTube, and some people may not hear that this is a work in progress. But hopefully, I've said it enough prior to that it just carries forward.
I don't know.
But regardless, I know. But regardless, I do want to preface now that what you guys are about to see is a bit different than what you saw with our story arc system. And it is different from our commissions system. This is our event system. And to be clear, what you're going to see is an example of the event system that showcases types of content that can be popped up in the world around you based on predicates of what's happening in the world. And this particular event that you're going to see a pop-up of is with regards to a destructed caravan that's having some wave assault by some bandits. Excuse me. And the reason for that event kicking off is because in the background, there might be negotiations, there might be advancement in relationship status between nodes that cause the thematic element of this pop-up event being a automated caravan moving throughout the world or whatever that hit the snag of the bandit encounter, and players in the area around it have an opportunity to participate. Now, there's a lot of different predicate systems that are involved in the event system, and they correlate in some way, shape, or form to some other types of world states that are happening within Vera at the time, and that give players an opportunity to interact with those events and receive rewards and receive experience and receive gold and receive some loot tables off of that. And these pop up kind of around the world, right? So you're going to be seeing an example of that here in the upcoming Alpha 2. And this is a video that Clayton and Scott and Amy and a lot of others have obviously helped to stand up the event system so that it is a very versatile way to deliver content to the players. So as a disclaimer, of course, this is all a work in progress. This is still an alpha state. The UI is pending additional development, as is the visual effects and some of the performance indicators. But this gives you an idea of what you can expect coming in Alpha 2. So enjoy.
And we do have an article of other events too. So if you want some more event action, you can check that out.
We'll and real quick,
yeah.
Sorry, one last thing. I know some people are constantly asking us about Alpha 2. We are going to have a little bit of an announcement here at the end of the stream. Not too much hype, just giving a little bit of direction with regards to expectations for Alpha 2. But we will talk about that after the event showcase.
All right. See you on the flip side.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live stream from the glorious world of Vera. And we have an exciting showcase to give you all today. We're going to be talking about our event system. And I am actually joined by three of our absolutely wonderful developers with whom you've spoken with in the past on some other live streams. We have one of our glorious engineers, Clayton. Clayton, how you doing, buddy?
Absolutely wonderful, glorious. What an introduction. I'm doing great.
I know,
really,
right?
Really,
There's so many,
really
so many words
to show off all of our hard work. So
very excited to see it with you and excited to chat with the community about it. I know you guys have been doing a lot of hard work on this. We also have two of our wonderful designers. Scott, how you doing, buddy?
Excellent. I'm very excited to be here.
Yay. And Amy, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Last time I was here, we took down 2 mocks, so I'm ready today. I'm playing Cleric again, so yeah, I got your back.
Thank you. Okay, so you heard it here first, folks. If I die,
we know whose fault it is.
It's of course not my fault. It would be the cleric's fault. No. But okay, so where are we? We are in a familiar biome. Many of you guys should be expecting where we are. We are in the wonderful Riverlands.
Yep, we are a little bit east of the last live stream location, which was the Winstead node.
Yeah, I see Carfin in the distance.
Yep, Carfin is even further east from Winstead, so we're kind of sandwiched between Winstead and Carfin right now. No big curse happening right now, so it's a nice day out.
Okay, so it's a nice day out. There's not like any type of blood curse or undead roaming the area?
No, not at the moment, no.
Okay, very cool. And what are we doing here in the Riverlands? Talk to me a little bit about what has brought us out here. And I'm going to jump off my glorious steed here while we talk about that.
Absolutely. So we're actually just out here to kill some mobs, grind some experience, get some resources maybe out of the land here, and eventually the world should react to that, and we could potentially create an event here.
I see a web weaver. So our objective right now is we're going to be showing off obviously the event system, and part of that event system is that it can take a whole host of different predicates to kind of kick off different types of events. Clayton, talk to me a little bit about what that means.
Oh, he's on me. Yeah, as soon as I'm not dying. But yeah, so the event system, it can query a lot of different aspects of the dynamic world state. Right now, it's actually just tracking player activity in the world, and for this event in particular, and it's looking for us to kill some stuff. So we're out here killing some stuff, and eventually the event should trigger once it's detected enough player activity.
Very cool. And this type of predicate, that is essentially the
activity map
for killing. Yeah, the activity map. that's not the only way that these events can get kicked off. There's a whole host of different ways that they can also get kicked
for
off.
sure. Yeah, so we have a really awesome system that the designers have access to that lets them hook into really any dynamic world state and use that to inform the instantiation or even just like the progression of any event.
Very cool.
Yeah,
these spiders are gross.
Scott, what are some plans that you have for different predicates for instantiating some of these events?
Yeah, so obviously we just got this kind of generic sort of kill one here that we can use for all sorts of different things for tracking player activity. Nope, big bear time. We also are looking at the amount of resources that players can harvest as a predicate. We have story arcs that are going on, so active story arcs could cause different events to start.
Yeah.
Trade caravans happening, relationships between different nodes,
and also just the state of the nodes themselves.
State of the
nodes
themselves. Oh, you can let him beat me up here because it's kind of cool.
He's charging you.
Yeah.
Oh.
He will throw you around. Those bears can really catch you off guard if you let them.
Okay.
So
I see that a nearby event has started.
Yep, the predicate has been met.
Yep.
Oh, and I see now on the minimap we have a little bit of a location for it.
Yeah, so just to the south of us here, we were just kind of the event has kind of kicked off because of just us killing stuff in the area here.
Yeah, and we might see some visual indicators over the hill here in a second.
And so when one of these events kick off, it's not just obviously notifying players based off of their proximity with the minimap and with the UI toast that pops up, but also, as you said, Clayton, we have a visual indicator in World that's also routing the event as well.
Yeah, for sure. Scott can probably touch on the diegetic nature of all of our narrative content and the goals there, but.
Oh wait, hold on. Before we get too close, I'm seeing that there's some Grey Shore archers and a Grey Shore swordsman. Ooh, okay, all right. Oh, should I join this event as a defender team?
We should definitely, yes.
That'll allow, if some other players do come around while we're playing, that'll allow them to join the event raid group with us. So we've effectively taken the party that we had pre-formed and merged that into a new raid group.
Okay, I slept a couple of these of the Highwayman captains.
There's some of them on the settlers right now. Oh god.
No, okay, and the settlers are an objective type that exists within this particular
Look at the archers.
Right?
Yep, exactly.
They're the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's a lot of them.
No, they're sniping from up on top of the rocks.
Thanks, Amy.
What? Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go for the longbowman.
Scott's down. Oh god.
Oh no.
Okay, the event difficulty did change though.
Why did the event difficulty change?
That's a good thing. It means we got backup. There are people here to help us. And
oh yeah, I see them up on the hill.
Where?
They're up on the hill. They're coming down.
Oh, they joined the raid. They joined the raid.
Okay, we're distracting the bandits from the settlers right now, so that's good. None of them have died. Caravan integrity is good.
Okay, I see the caravan integrity on the event notification window.
It looks like they're mostly just going for the settlers right now.
Oh no, those poor settlers.
We've kept them up.
Nope, I just saw one die.
Oh god, two of them went out at once. All right.
Why did you say something?
I know.
I shouldn't have mentioned it. They would have been fine.
So our objective here is to protect these settlers while we eliminate 20 of these highwaymen.
Okay.
Whew. Okay, but there's probably another wave coming?
Yes.
There's still some Grey Shore people around.
Oh, I see some of them coming from northeast. There's an arsonist coming.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, and some from downhill northwest too. Scott, why are they coming from the north?
So we're actually pretty near one of our POIs, which is actually under bandit control. The aptly named Highwayman Hills is just around the corner here. So they'll be attacking NPCs kind of in this area until such a time as players deal with it via a story arc.
And the settlers
this
were
is a
trying to keep these guys alive, right?
Okay.
All right, we did it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Two survived.
Okay. So it says prepare for the final assault. So this is staged based off of our kind of our progress, our activity, our success. What is this?
Yeah, so we defeated the requisite number of bandits there,
Oh, what are these?
which is going to
What are these?
progress the stage here. And during this
triggered
stage here,
bandit
we can
trap.
reset some of the traps that the bandits used to initially destroy the convoy, and we can use those against the bandits in the next phase, which is actually more difficult. So
Yeah, we'll definitely
Okay.
need them. Whenever the bandits do come with reinforcements, they're probably going to be bringing their best. So
especially because we have more players now, so the difficulty of the event will be more when there are more players, and of course, like all things in Ashes, the more difficult the challenge, the better the rewards.
and
Very nice.
also, you know, our clerics can have some time to heal up the settlers and you know, hopefully set us up for success whenever the next round does come in.
And how do we leverage the reward system? How are people, you know, getting calculated what rewards they should get for
So
events like this?
we have kind of a number of metrics that we can use. I think we're going to be doing a lot of testing to figure out what the best metrics are, because there are some ups and downs using like the amount of damage you've done, you know, in the raid and stuff like that. And we're also like more relaxed things like how much time you spent, you know, participating in the event, whether that's doing damage or healing allies and things like that, as a percentage of the total time of the event. They all have their drawbacks and benefits. Some are, we got to be careful about.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll just count up the contribution. However, we end up balancing that, and then we have different tiers of rewards that are given to each individual player based off of their contribution score in the event.
As it works right now, it is just simply a matter of how much time you've participated in the event as a percentage of the total time of the event.
Very nice. And so as that winds down, people will be, you know, granted a gold, silver, bronze tier kind of reward status, and that will be the entitlement for the types of rewards they get from these events.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and really that's just going to determine the reward table that they're going to get, and then each player is going to roll their own reward table independently.
Very
I
nice.
hope I'm gonna get
Oh.
rewarded for all the healing I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah. Amy, you deserve it.
A raid leader?
Yep, our timer is up, and Corvin the Crusher appears to be on the way. Oh God, he's coming.
no.
All right.
We're gonna need healing almost immediately.
Oh my god,
Yep.
there's a lot. I'm gonna try to sleep some of them. Oh, never mind. There's multiple balls of lightning. Let's see if I can line this up right.
I'm gonna try and use the wraps as best I can.
Man, this is really great.
Oh, I am on fire.
We have them in a choke point right now. We definitely want to keep them away.
Oh, there's birds.
We want to keep them away from the caravan and in this choke point.
I got him to trigger the trap over here.
I'm hitting them with a lot of AoEs right now.
Oh, whoops.
And the only objective here, as you can see from the tracker, is to kill Corvin. So until Corvin goes down,
Yep. I'm trying to prioritize their healing and DPS so that we can have a better chance here. I think with the raid group of 8, we seem to be set up for success here.
Oh, Corvin the Crusher.
Hey,
He looks scary.
Amy, Scott, would either of you want to touch on the event difficulty tier and what we intend to do with that as more players join the event?
Well, sure.
in
As
terms, yeah, go ahead.
soon as people join in, it just gets more difficult. I don't know if you saw, but we had a toast saying that the event has progressed from its original state as a group event to a raid level event. It goes better in level, and of course it comes with more challenges, more optional objectives, but also more rewards. So it's never going to be like a bother to have other people join you. It's all part of being in a like multiplayer environment. Is, you know, the more friends join up with you, the better.
Yeah, you know, I think it's cool that you touched on the rewards because, yeah, the designers have have the ability, just from a technical perspective, to use the difficulty tier however they like in the event. They can modify any aspect of the event's difficulty, or even, the reward that you're getting. They can query that in the reward table data.
We're doing pretty good here. This caravan hasn't really been taking much damage at all.
Yeah, we've been able to hold them off pretty well.
Yeah, the tank was able to intercept him at that choke point, so...
Yeah, the traps seem to be working too.
This
so
elite healer is rough.
Yeah, they should be very hard to kill.
Oh, some of the Grey Shore swordsmen and the archers are still alive.
We can change that. We have the technology. There we go.
Oh,
Yep,
we did
Corbin's
it!
down. We win.
Congratulations! Is there rewards?
Well, there's also a grateful settler here presenting us the reward. Maybe he has something to say.
Let me talk to him. Greetings, grateful settler. Praise Ariok! They might have killed us without your intervention. Please, help yourself. I will help myself. Thank you. Thank you. What type of supplies are we talking about here?
Oh, you're one of those heroes.
Unbelievable! I mean, this was a difficult task.
You should just head over to Highwayman Hills and join the bandits, Steven.
Unbelievable, Clayton. Unbelievable. I am a hero in this. I'm a mayor of a local node.
Oh my god.
A shame it came to violence. We are hopeful we could leave that behind on Sanctus. Okay, yeah, I'm hopeful of that too. But sometimes we can't just get what we hope for. So, whoa, we got some wool.
Yep. We got some wool.
Okay, I got some wool.
You're
That's
also
cool.
granted, on the event's completion, you're granted like a little stipend of golden experience just right away. But items that can be looted off your body, they have to come from like a reward chest. So every event will have its own little reward cache at the end of it that you'll grab your materials and items from.
And I actually
got
some ashen timber as my reward.
Wait, why'd you get ashen timber?
Well, I got that reward from my reward table. Maybe I participated better than you, so I got a better resource.
How dare you? I was out there doing a lot of work.
Scott, this NPC, he's also configured to actually interface with some of the story arc content too, right? If those story arcs were online.
It's true, yeah. I think it is online actually. It's
just not active.
Check it again, Steven.
Oh, okay. Where am I going?
Talk to the guy again. I think you might have missed a dialogue option or it didn't pop up
Oh,
yet.
here we go. Okay.
The top one.
Who are these people?
Yeah.
Why were they who are these people? Let's see. They're desperate folks who prowl the hills. Captain Eudoxia in Lionhold is looking into the matter. I should seek her out and find if there is a better way I could help around here. You know what? I will do. Oh, okay. Here we go. I see a lot of different placeholder rewards. A bridge too far.
Yeah, the rewards for a lot of the quests are still not fully done yet. But the events do hook into all of our story arc content. So if there are story arcs online, we can, since our quests are non-linear, events can help you kind of into those quests. If they're online, this event can happen whether or not the story arc is online. But if it is, you can pick up the lead in to that quest from him. If you're not, if you haven't been to Lionhold in a while since the story arc has started.
Very cool. And so obviously, people saw a little bit during this event that the adaptive difficulty was predicated on the number of participants that opt in to partake in this event, right?
Correct. Yes. So as more players join, the event does get more difficult. We went from the regular mobs to the elite mobs in Corvin's entourage. Some of them can be, more enemies to fight. Some can have completely different stages or mechanics, depending on what the event actually is and what your objectives are for that event.
And these events are based off of different predicates within the world state. So, for example, this particular event was a caravan that was moving throughout the world. And as we said in the beginning, it was based off of the activity heat map of players within this area. But this type of event, this caravan event that was transiting goods, popped up because nearby nodes may have either been advancing the relationship between each other, or there might have been a trade caravan that got kicked off in the past, and we're representing kind of that that theming within the world by these event types, correct?
Yes. So events are predicated by things that players are doing, whether that is node development, trade agreements between nodes, all of that, like relationships between nodes. I mean, so it could be more than just that. Could be war states or anything like that as well.
So
Very cool.
I noticed that even though we succeeded in the event, we're still in our event raid group. Scott, what's the thought behind that? Are we supposed to go and adventure with our new group right now? If we so desire?
If we so desire, yeah. The event ending doesn't dissolve the open party for the event. The open parties have some sort of default like party configurations that can't be changed, so they'll be stuck with a group loot and stuff like that. But we do try to encourage people to continue to stick together and play together. The game is hard, so
it's good
to play. Yeah, it's good to play with friends. Yeah.
I just left the raid. I don't want to play with you.
Oh my god. He's going to join the bandits. I called it.
Yes, I'm looking for the Highwayman Hill bandits.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, and then obviously we saw during the event, there are obviously multiple stages that exist, each of those stages having unique mechanics associated with them. There are a lot of different types of events, Aimee, that you and the narrative team and Scott that you guys are working on creating. Each of those event types will have different similar stages. Like we saw there was a trap stage here that we can set up. Is it intended that these stages are going to provide players with kind of downtime to recuperate and also perhaps set up and strategize how they want to address the upcoming challenge?
Well, I don't really know about you, but my heart's beating right now. I feel like we've been challenged, and of course there's going to be moments where there are less challenges which rely less on your class kit than usual.
Right.
But I think that in general, if you want to really get down and understand the story and the appreciate the world, then probably you're going to want to focus more in the story arcs where you can take things at your own pace.
We have some events that do other things, like there could be some that are just puzzles. We have an event in here that is actually just like you can attend a funeral for just an NPC that can pop up. And there isn't actually any combat to do in that one. Rewards are adequately scaled, but there are events in here that are just kind of for flavor and for fleshing out the world a little bit too that you can participate in and learn more about.
Yeah, I think there are going to be some moments where you might be frustrated that an event is obscuring something that you want to get to, like a NPC that you need to talk to for your quest or something. So then gathering people to help you is going to be really useful.
Awesome. Very cool. And that event there at the last stage had kind of like a little mini boss dude. Is that kind of a component of all events that you guys are intending to incorporate, or just kind of some events will have those mini bosses?
Some will have them. There's going to be a whole lot of these, and they're going to be at different tiers of challenge and kind of, I guess, like power level tiers. They're not all going to be defeating the end all dragon being at the end. Some are just about helping people. There's some are about just building up the world of Verra, which is a very difficult and challenging place as people are trying to resettle it. There's all kinds of tiers for different levels of heroism, from helping the small time people to downing giant foes.
And these are obviously a bit different than what people have seen previously with Carfen, where we showed off kind of the story arc system that fundamentally changes a particular location or area for an extended period of time that exists within stages that might be multi-days in length. These are more bite-sized, kind of digestible, end-to-end 20-minute gameplay, right?
Right. Definitely much shorter than a story arc, which, as you mentioned before, is meant to be taken kind of at a slower pace. Your individual path through the story arc is a little bit more measured, like you're less reliant on like the pace of the actual story arc. It's more about your own personal paces through the quests, and then as the story arc advances over time, like over the course of days, then you can dive back into it and get more involved in it again.
Very cool. And then if there are people who might be problematic to a particular event, like this Jindrak guy. Oh, okay. I think it's triggering again. Like this Jindrak guy, we could attack them or something, right?
Oh, sure. We could, yes. We could all just decide
if you were aligned with the bandits, maybe.
And there are some events that do have you pick sides in PvP.
Like I put a shield on.
You know, whenever Steven joined this event, he had one option to just merge us into the event raid group. This was a PvE event, but there are going to be events with sanctioned PvP where there are multiple team options to join.
Got it. Okay, very cool. Well, I'll let Jindrak live this time. Guys, that was a super exciting event showcase. I know that the community love to kind of see this stuff. Obviously, events are an integral component of making the world feel kind of dynamic and representative of what is happening around the area. It gives people insight into particular locations and the type of activities that might be occurring, but it also gives really interesting ways for us as players to interact with that environment and affect change as well, and be rewarded for that activity. I think it's super cool. You guys have done a great job with standing up the event system and populating the world with really compelling activities. So thank you for showing us a little bit of the work you guys have been doing towards Alpha 2. I know that the community loves it, and we'll be back on stream to talk a little bit more about this.
All right. Thanks,
Bye, guys.
Thanks for having me, Steven. Bye.
Thanks, Steven.
Absolutely. Bye everybody. Whoops.
Welcome back. Why'd you say whoops?
Oh, my light went out.
Oh.
in the office, it went out right at the end there.
Oh no, hopefully the internet's going to be okay. It's just the light. I will play the video in the background so y'all can watch that. We do have some questions from chat about some things. So one of the things was to kind of set expectations for parties. We did talk about how when you disband a party or when you end it, you know, we do encourage you to group up and stay together, but people are wondering if they have to like fully reform their parties or what the plan is in regards to that.
Yeah, so there is an option, as we said at the end, to kind of stick around in that raid and to go off and do some additional things with each other. Obviously, we want to encourage players to kind of cooperate and work with one another. That is an MMO after all, and that is the name of the game. But at the same time, if people want to convert back into a party or if they want to move from that raid, they are more than welcome to do so.
All right. And then what happens if someone joins the event and then like goes MIA, goes to get a coffee, goes to the bathroom, leaves? Does that still keep the difficulty?
Yeah, so there is a way that we kind of heat map player activity during the event to help inform that difficulty. It's not just going to be based purely off of the number of participants within the area or within the raid. That's something that is dynamic and scales accordingly. But the idea here is that, you know, we can't necessarily predict the number of players that are going to be participating in these types of events, of course, because not only is it opt-in, but it's also kind of situationally and locationally relevant to the player activity. Now, those events kicked off based off of local player activity. As you saw here, we're killing the bears, we're killing the spiders. That was one of the predicates that kind of kicked this local event off. The event was then thematically relevant to kind of activities that were happening around the zone, and that was like relationship between nodes that was progressing. That caused this theming to be about a caravan being assaulted by bandits for supplies. And so it kind of gives you a touch point to the rest of the world and what's happening there. But we want to scale that difficulty to a degree, right? And we're not talking about like scaling up the player's power or scaling down the power of the NPCs, but rather how many additional spawners start to activate, what different types of NPCs start to join. Are they going to be elites? Is there the boss, right? Those types of things are scalable as part of the event system.
Cool. And then are you able to heal the caravan settlers and things like that? I know that you were, but we want to clarify like that you do need to protect them to some extent. Are there implications for if you don't? Like if a bunch of people die that you're supposed to be guarding, will you get less reward? What's the...
For sure, there is the ability to fail. I know that is a strange concept for a lot of us nowadays playing more modern games, but there is absolutely a way to fail. And some of those ways include how you're going to expend resources, not just for your fellow players, but for some of the objectives that might be present within the event as well. And those resources, that mainly being your mana in this circumstance with regards to healing those NPCs. is, I think, a relevant and interesting component that makes it a little bit more dynamic.
All right. And then do the events have cooldowns, or could players force the event to spawn endlessly?
Events absolutely do have cooldowns. They cannot be forced to spawn repeatedly over and over again. Those cooldowns are not just something that's based on a timer. They're also predicated on certain actions occurring within the world once more or at different times. And so, again, the most important thing about this system is that when we're talking about, being out in a hunting grounds or being out, transiting across the world, these events are constantly popping up around the zones, right? And they kind of follow player activity and movement. And there's a whole host of different types of events from a content standpoint that reflect the state of the world. And so it's important that, like, as players are doing these things, these are additional levels of experience grants and reward tables that can be accessible based off of cooperation with other players in the area.
All right. And then the last one here is, what would have happened if the raid group failed the event? I know that you talked a little bit about this before, but would something have happened if we wouldn't have saved everybody?
So events that get kicked off, if you would not have saved everybody, if this event would have failed, and actually it failed many times in testing, but if this event would have failed, it would have contributed to a world state tracker, right? And events kind of can roll. The event outcome can inform other events as predicates as well, right? And when you get enough events that are being failed, that can trigger a bigger event. And when a bigger event fails, that can trigger potentially a story arc. And that can trigger potentially atrophy events. Like it's a cascading foundational system that serves to predicate how other instances of dynamic reactive world activities respond to player choices, player efforts, player successes and failures, right? What we're building is a very comprehensive, responsive world. And I know a lot of times in different games, you hear the buzzwords of like dynamic and responsive and reactive and, whatever, but we are building the mechanics to inform those systems from a very scaling foundational perspective, which can culminate into big server changing things happening, right? And this is at the very ground level of that overarching system. You guys saw a little bit of the story arc system with Carfin and how it fundamentally changed the visuals of that area. But what can help inform Carfin's story arc kicking off is how these smaller feeding events, what the outcome of those are, right? So that's how we get the world that feels respective of player action.
Yeah, there's things that happen that have a dominoes effect of other things happening, and depending on how that thing happened, it may change. And it doesn't always have to be the same things that are always happening. This is why when we said that every server will kind of pretty much be very, very different from another server, it would be very, very unlikely that they will be exactly the same and in the same state, because you'd have to take very specific actions at the same time to make those things line up that way. Of course, the video that we have will be up in 4K. So if you want to see that, you can head on over to our YouTube channel after the stream. I'm going
to stand up and move around so I can get my lights.
Yeah, because the motion lights. Someone at the office come wave around.
It will not pick me up even though I'm moving around.
That's funny. You don't move fast enough. You're like sloth mode.
I know.
And of course, we also have a forum of event update feedback thread as well. So if you have any thoughts after watching this, and of course, after you're able to like kind of move things around on the live stream or watch it either on Twitch or YouTube, you can feel free to toss your feedback our way. We, of course, will be compiling a report for development in order to ensure that they get all the information from what your thoughts are. So share those with us.
Yeah.
And with that, we shall move over to studio update.
Studio update. Yes. It's funny, actually, I was watching in chat, somebody said, how can I become a developer for this?
Yeah, come work
Ashes
with
of
us.
Creation. That's a nice little segue. Studio update. Things are going great at the studio. We are continuing to grow. We are ending our milestone actually this week. Actually, I think it ended at the end of last week. We are currently transitioning into our next milestone right now.
The 29th today.
29th. Oh, it ends today. That's right. Mm-hmm. And next week we are having about 20 of our remote employees are flying in for our milestone 7 preparation and kickoff in San Diego. And we're going to have some fun events with the team, doing some bowling nights and some full day reviews of our milestone and play testing. And it is an exciting time here at the studio. And I want to take a moment to talk a little bit about the state of our industry, and, be respective of the fact that, not everywhere in the gaming industry and the tech industry in general right now, the economy is obviously a point of concern. There's a lot of layoffs that have been happening, and it is a very unfortunate and terrible thing. Of course, I made a little bit of a statement on Twitter yesterday and on LinkedIn. Our hearts go out to those individuals, and it is an incredible experience to be a part of teams that create the magic that games are, because really they are magical. I mean, games are games are a very important part of our lives, right? It is important to have a work-life balance, and part of everyone out there who are in this audience that get to have downtime and experience games with their friends and their families and kind of de-stress with that. It takes a lot to make those things. And it takes a lot of effort and dedication and commitment. And when things outside of your control and outside of your power impact your ability to do that, it's obviously a moment of pause and reflection. And Intrepid intends and strives to be one of those places that takes sustainable growth practices as part of building up our company and our team in the efforts to deliver this product. Now, of course, MMOs are the biggest game you can make. Our MMORPG is probably one of the more ambitious ones. And from the get-go, we knew, and you guys knew from a community perspective, that this was going to be a journey, and it continues to be that. But every time we onboard a new person to this company, to our team, to our Intrepid family, and I know that's a hot button issue to even use that word sometimes in a work setting, but that is the type of feeling we try to achieve at Intrepid. Every time we onboard someone new, we do so with the conscious effort to know what the end goal is in our development journey, and to treat that team member, that family member, with the type of respect for their work and participation in this project, right? And so if you know somebody that's been impacted by these layoffs recently, if you guys are in the ecosphere of Twitter and or LinkedIn of these developers who are some of your favorite developers that have worked on projects in the past, and you've seen the product of their toils, then make sure to send them a message and let them know that we exist, that Ashes of Creation is a project, and that we have a lot of positions that are open. And if they don't see a position that's open, they can go to intrepidstudios.com to our careers page, and they can submit their resume and their portfolio and experience, and we will spend the time and effort in order to evaluate their potential on the team. So that is something that I think is important, and it's a rough time out there right now for sure. And our hearts go out to the people that are impacted by some of these layoffs. But things are looking good here at Intrepid Studios, and we continue to move forward. And our next milestone is going to be a big one. And with that being said,
well, I think that I have some notes here too from our HR team,
yes.
which I'm not going to share everything they gave me because some of that is like private information for us. But I think one of the cool things is I'm a data junkie as someone who does a lot of marketing stuff. we have an insanely great attrition rate comparatively to the industry. So, I mean, for us, we're at like 3.4%. People are going to come and go. They're going to have reasons why they want to.
Sure.
Maybe they're
Yeah.
going to get paid more at another company, or they want a different type of job, and we don't have that available for them. Although we do accommodate quite greatly for people.
Yes.
Or they want to be somewhere else.
3.4% though. That's not bad. What's the
It's not
industry
bad.
average?
The software development, or the global average, is 38.9%.
Holy
And the
smokes.
software development specifically is 57.3%. So
My God.
we are extremely low because people really do enjoy working here. And I know it is cliche when it sounds cliche when you say family, but Stephen and John really treat us all like family. Like, there is love and care there that I have not always had at other companies. So thank you.
Well, absolutely. We love you and we love our team, and it is something special that I think we built here at this company, and it definitely feels like that. I think it would be great for us to talk a little bit about a common discussion point that obviously you on the community end.
So we're going to do that before the art.
Oh, before the art. Oh, okay. My bad. I'm sorry.
We can do it. No, we can do it.
We can do it now. Okay.
Yeah, do it now.
All right. So
we're wild on you guys.
As you guys know, we have reserved our announcement for dates until we are certain that we can hit them. We've been burned in the past with that. We took our lickings, we learned,
like,
and
no more dates, Stephen, until
correct.
It's happening.
Yes, and I've been a good boy. I've been a very good boy with that. I haven't said any dates. And what I would like to do is, as I see often in the community with a lot of different conversations with content creators, when is Alpha 2 going to be? Is it this year? Is it next year? Is it 2030? Kind of wild speculation that I think I have attempted to address by saying Alpha 2 is not years away, but it's also not right around the corner. And so as we grow closer to Alpha 2, we will give a definitive date. The next time you hear from us about when Alpha 2 is going to be, it's probably going to be delegated to a particular quarter. And then when we're probably a few months away, we will have the date in mind. But for now, I can definitively tell you that Alpha 2 is going to be, and cue the video.
We're back.
Hey, that wasn't too bad. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
So, guys, we can say that from now on, when people talk to you about when Alpha 2 is going to be, it is no longer a question of if, but when. Next year, Alpha 2 will be rolled out for public testing. We have a number of different testing events that are going to be participating over
Can I make some clarifications for things?
Absolutely.
It includes some of that. So
yes,
the exact date, as Stephen said, will be provided in a future in the future. And of course, when we do provide that date, we will also give you guys further information in regards to testing schedule, what's included in Alpha 2, because I know that that's where this is going to go next. And also the NDA spot testing that will be before Alpha 2. We will have first one with our PI members, then we'll have some with our Alpha 1 users, and then our Alpha 2 users. And of course, Alpha 2 will not be NDA'd, but that spot testing will be NDA'd.
Yes, correct.
So keep that in mind. And then note that Alpha 2 is only accessible for players who have Alpha 2 access. So just because you had Alpha 1 access does not mean that you will have Alpha 2 access. So make sure that you do have Alpha 2 access in your inventory. It'll say Alpha 2 if you do. But you will be able to partake in pre-tests because that's technically still Alpha 1.
Yes, absolutely. And guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about setting expectations right appropriately. Anytime you're delivering a software as big as even what Alpha 2 is, there's going to be bumps, there's going to be hiccups, there's going to be things that we don't account for. That's just the nature of the beast. Part of that is many communities don't have an opportunity to see those bumps and hiccups because projects keep things very tight to the chest. We have, since the get-go, decided not to take that approach and instead take the good, bad, and ugly approach, which is you guys get to see that stuff. And so as we're moving towards Alpha 2 in 2024, you can expect to see part of our development updates. We'll be showcasing, of course, continually these systems. Some of those systems will be very big, some of those systems will be smaller, but our intent is to get feedback on them and kind of get experiential feedback, especially so that we can help inform the revisions and the iterations that we do to them. That's why we do these development updates, right? It's not just Margaret and I love being here with you guys and being a part of this process, but we don't do it because we love it. We do it because it is an integral component of making a good product, right? And that is our philosophy. So with that being said, I can hopefully now put to rest some of the question marks that arise out of the when is Alpha 2 going to be. We definitively now
they're still going to ask.
I know.
As soon as January 1st
yes.
goes, they're going to be like, so what date is it?
We have moved the discussion out of the realm of years into the realm of months. Which month is it going to be, right?
Yeah.
So that is, I think, a positive outcome.
And like what Stephen said, we will, our next update will give you what quarter, and then we will provide dates after that. So just keep that in mind. There is going to be a progression of that information.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool. What a time to be alive.
I know. It has been a wild time in general for all of us. But yeah, did I miss anything else on the studio update? Yeah, I think we caught everything. So art stuff. Look at pretty art.
Art stuff. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's look at art.
I just got a message from our web team that the website is currently getting hit hard. Oh no.
Great. Probably because everyone's
down.
like, let's buy a package. The packages are going to be available till January 17th. So it'll be okay.
I probably shouldn't have said that on the stream. Then it would just exacerbated the problem.
Or the career page, people might have been going to that too. So first and foremost, we've got the Deepwood Syrinx, I think is what it's called. It's like an instrument of some sort, which is really cool. And that now has its model. And you may have seen these little potion traps on the ground that were created. I love seeing the work in progress images, so I always like sharing that stuff with you guys. And so that's what
Atkins did this.
And this is what you saw in the game. Yeah.
Very cool.
And then we've got the
by the way, notice the kind of styling of the magical fantasy, the kind of magical realism, not so much too far on the steampunk side, not too much magic tech side, but still keeping
Stephen doesn't like
within the high fantasy. It's not that I don't like it. I think that there's a lot of really cool, interesting kind of steampunk iteration that's done in these games. It's just I'm a high fantasy guy.
Yeah, we had some designers who were trying to plot out steampunk. I was like, no, that's not Ashes of Creation. Move on. But next up, we've got the Legionnaire outfit, which now has a model as well. I think it should rotate.
Looks
through.
Great.
And I believe I have a turntable for this as well. Very different type of armor. I know some people weren't sure how they felt about this set, but the lore for it is really cool, and some of the other pieces that they have for this set are coming along really well. So I'm excited to share those. Next up is we've been working out some options for Vec Plate, and this is kind of a little preview of one of
I love the
directions.
Vec models, and the plate looks so good.
Yeah, I think Jan has been working on this and killing it.
Yeah, that looks great.
And then
I love the face masks, the helmets.
We have the turntable for this, so people can kind of see how that looks.
And you can see the model. Looks great.
Mm-hmm. So this is the female model, and then I will also show you it on the male.
And remember, guys, as you guys are seeing these different armor sets, the armors that we work through, of course, gradually increase in tier, right? Based off of kind of the level that we're provisioning the armors for. Now, is this a cosmetic set or was this
This is
this
not.
is the armor? No,
This
so this is in-game
this is one of the
achievable.
plate achievables. Yeah.
And I believe that this armor, judging off of its silhouette, is probably going to be about a tier 2 armor from a tier 5 system, right? So this would probably be something as a Vec that you would have access to between levels like 15 to 25-ish, roughly.
Yeah, if Beyond knows, he can DM me and I can update it. But yeah, very, very cool. And then, of course, we've got the Silk Fur Dune Hunter that Jinsei has made the model for, and it looks so cute. I mean, they just make like the concept art look exactly like the character. It's wild to me how amazing they are. So. Who else is excited to ride this? Like, oh my gosh, so cute. And with that, we're ready to head on over to our Q&A. So I'll play the video in the background just so you have something to watch whilst we answer some of y'all's questions from the forums. The first one here is from Plastic Lemons. Don't eat those. Asking about mayor history. I once tried to eat a plastic grape when I was a little kid. It did not go well.
I did the same thing. I didn't try to eat it, though. I just chewed on it.
Yeah, well, I couldn't eat it, so I spit it out. But yeah, I was chewing on it. I thought it was a real grape.
I used to love those little plastic grapes. I would just grab them and chew on them.
Oh, just like, okay. Interesting. You learn something new every day.
On. See, somebody just said LOL same.
Were you really?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Rakers Maker.
Oh my gosh. Maybe you guys are teething or something. You're like a little chew toy.
Somebody else said that explains a lot. That's so good.
Maybe
There's too much sharing.
Too much TMI. We have mayor history, which is, will players have a way to see who past mayors of their node were? Like a little, like a log. That'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So something
and
that
all
we
their
intend
actions.
Well, maybe not all their actions, but
we can dream, guys.
It is something that we do intend to provide, obviously, historical references within the game of not just the mayors of nodes, but also, server first downs of certain bosses and this first like guild achievements and guild hall ownership. Like we want to, the achievement system should record things of note. So that people are able to etch their name or their guild in the history in the history of the server, and mayorship would be one of those things.
Very cool. It would be cool if mayors could like leave a little note, and then all the new mayors get to see all the past notes.
Like Margaret was here, just like etched in the desk. Or something.
Yeah, or something. Some might be helpful, some might not be. It's like, what's that game? Oh, anyways, moving on. Azure from Node Government wants to know, are there plans for official game-supported node positions other than the mayor, like a stable master or a procurement officer? That word's hard to say.
Are there other node-based positions, basically?
Like,
yes, there are other node-based positions. Most of them relate to social organizational structures, like the temple and the social organization building that the node might construct. Those are ladder systems of achievement that players can work through on a seasonal basis to achieve the highest level of that for the particular node. And by doing so, they will then have titles bestowed upon them, which grant certain types of powers and benefits.
Ooh, nice. Speaking of which, I'm going to forward to one of the questions here from Kadek in regards to social organizations. Will progression in social organizations be permanent, or must it be maintained like PvP?
There will be a portion of your social progression that does remain static. But then when you move into a section of the ladder system that's more competitive, that section of achievement will be ticking and seasonal, and you'll have to repeat efforts there. So you can achieve a certain status rank that will be permanent unless you choose to leave the system, and then there will be a section that's ladder-based.
Cool. And then the next one here is about music. DougBug27 wants to know, cities in MMORPGs tend to have iconic music to match the aesthetic of locations. How do you expect Ashes of Creation and Bear Mercury specifically to create music to fit nodes when they will be changing all the time? And easy answer, predicates.
Well, it's a great question. So Cat and Bear, obviously, we have a great process by which there are different levels of associated soundtracks based off of defining features in the game. So if we're talking about nodes, then we're talking about what's the cultural representation of that node. Soundtracks and theming music will then be accompanied based off of the culture that the node expresses. If we're talking about biomes and we're talking about POIs, each of those will have distinctive themes that are associated with them. So when you're out in the wilderness or you're out at a specific POI, those will have soundtracks that will play as well. Each of those systems will encompass a layered effect that can reflect the stage of certain types of events within an area. So for example, the POI that is Carfen, that will have a general theme for Carfen that will play as you move into the area. But depending on the effects of a particular story arc, we may weave in a layer of the soundtrack that reflects perhaps the voice of the raid boss when she's present. Right. And if she's not, that layer won't be weaved in. So those soundtracks are constructed in such a way, obviously, where you can get a lot of usage out of them. And there are components and themings of those that can weave together and layer together. And it's intended to be something that not just is pleasant, but informative of the world as well.
In different states, right? Like if you're in combat, might have different
correct. Yes, there's combats.
Stuff.
Absolutely. There's combat states as well. Yes.
Speaking of music, our next question is from Songrune, and it's about bards. What equipment slot does a bard's instrument take up?
It takes up the instrument slot. Yes. So there will be an instrument slot that can be available as well, and the bard can equip something there. But that is obviously subject to change. It is something that has been of heavy discussion within the combat team and the player character team, and how we want to facilitate instrumentation. And it's something that we haven't yet really delved into from a development perspective. It's a little bit later on our prioritization list, but the intent is that there would be an instrument slot.
All right. And Killjoy from the forum wants to know about node taxes. Since taxes are set by the mayor, is there going to be a way to see the tax rates in different nodes from like a world map or something like that? So I can decide like, where should I take my strawberries today?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. If you want to take your strawberry somewhere where the man isn't trying to pinch every dime out of you, you can go into your world map and you can hover state over certain nodes and you'll be presented with some basic informations, of which, of course, taxation will be a component. And then as you arrive in that node, you will also have additional UI interface that can present you with more granular data, such as active items on the warehouse active items on the auction house in that location, and different types of services presented by the service buildings.
All right. And then we've got from Grand Serpent about active blocking. Has the team considered grapples or guard breaks to go along with the potential active blocking? So kind of like what the player is looking for and wondering is if there will be ways to interrupt or cancel another player's active blocking. So I'm blocking you.
Yeah.
Can I counter that?
For sure. There is intended to be an interaction between different types of reactive and predictive skill sets, of which if a player is in a state such as an active block or an active tumble state, there will likely be some types of abilities that interact with reacting to those types of states and will either overcome, surpass, or cancel out those states, particularly as it relates to not just active blocking, but also potentially passive blocking as well. And that would be something probably related to like physical penetration values as a stat, or even CC breaks that could be relevant as well for those types of things. I think that's on the radar for the combat team, but it's something they haven't, or they actually are, I think, exploring Actually,
They're
I don't know whether
exploring
they're
active
exploring that.
blocking, right? Like
Yeah, I know they're
you're
doing it
not
right
sure
now.
if the final answer is that we will have active
Yeah,
blocking or
I
not.
just had a discussion with the combat team last week with Trad and with Brian about how we're going to implement the active blocking into the Alpha 2 kits. And that is something we are moving forward with.
Try.
Right now, that's going to be tested with a stamina-based system, which is universal energy, of course, across all the different classes. And yeah, that'll be something we showcase in a future live stream, I think. Right now, it's very much in development.
So stay tuned, everybody, in regards to that. I know that that's a hot, I was like, we also probably should address active blocking as a whole, because I know last time we talked about this, we were like, we're exploring it.
Yes.
And of course,
we
even
are
Alpha 2.
not only exploring it now, we are actually actively developing for it, and we'll be testing with it, I believe, this sprint.
And things may change from Alpha 2. I mean, that's why we want you guys to get your hands on it, test stuff, give us your feedback, and we'll be looking at data for that as well. Our next question here is from Go, asking about world map information. Will players be able to view their server's current vassal node networks on a world map through a general filter, a special node building, or other means? Like, can they filter and find things? Like, if I'm looking for a specific building, can I figure out which node has that, so I know where to go?
Yeah. The only real question there is kind of how the user collects that information, whether or not it's readily presented to the player just by being a player in the world, or if they have to travel to locations and update that locations. In the past, we talked about having a library that was capable of facilitating players exchanging information for map data like that. But we've moved a little bit more in a direction of just presenting that information up front to the player, because travel is such a meaningful portion of the game and we don't have fast travel. So I think that for Alpha 2, what's planned is that we're going to be showcasing kind of the intricate details of services offered at these node locations from just a UI presentation standpoint within the map. And that's going to service players being able to kind of strategize about their travels.
All right. And then Emoxator wants to know about gear bonuses. Will there be equipment gear bonuses for either single pieces or entire gear sets that offer unique abilities that could change how a class is played? And I think there's like two-parter here from our end.
So I guess the fundamental of that question is, are there certain types of bonuses that could impact the way you play your class? I think the answer to that is yes.
Because anybody can wear any armor. So
correct, yes. Yeah. But at the fundamental is, like, if I were to get a set bonus that gave me, a 10% crit modifier on my waterfall stat, and now I'm like, critting often with my weapon attacks or with my abilities, like, I might lean in more towards being a crit heavy focused class because of that particular bonus. Or as what I think what they're asking for is am I going to get a item that gives me like a fundamental new ability chain rather than augmenting my existing ability sets, right? And I don't think the intent is to provide something new from an ability perspective with majority of our set bonuses, right? The intent is that we are augmenting existing waterfall stats with set bonuses. And there are going to be active skills that do get associated with certain types of pieces of armor and or weapons. Those will be much on the higher end if they're an active ability that comes with those things. But I still don't think that the intended impact of those types of abilities is for us to radically redefine the way a particular archetype might play. Those determinations are made within the archetype kit and within the secondary archetype kit as well.
All right. And then Lashing wants to know about experience.
Apologies, real quick. One person asked, what is a waterfall stat? A waterfall stat is a derivative of an attribute, right? So if dexterity is your attribute stat and a waterfall from dexterity is critical rate, that would be considered a waterfall stat, the critical rate.
Yeah, to have terminology. I'm sorry. Usually I'm pretty good about catching that. The next question is about experience stat from Lashing. Does experience stat at max level interact with rested experience? So let's say I have experience stat at max level. Will I be able to use rested experience to gain that experience back?
Yes. Yeah. Rested experience is a modifier that occurs when you first receive the experience. And then after that modifier happens, where that experience goes to buy down the debt is what happens. So if you have rested experience and you have experience debt and you go out to collect experience, you will be working that debt off faster because of the rested experience.
All right. Cool. And with that, we have answered the questions from the forums. Thank you all for submitting questions. Every development update, we put out some new a new questions forum post. So if you would like to get yours chosen, we pick 10 at random. So make sure that you get your questions in and only ask one question. Follow the rules, and we will be selecting those for the next time. But of course, as we wrap up today's, I can't believe. I feel like we've done so many really long ones that this feels very weird to be ending.
This was a breathing stream, and then next stream is going to be an exhale stream.
Yeah, I'm like, what is our next one? No, I'm just kidding. You'll just come and tune in. We do tease stuff on our social and things like that. So if you want to know in advance, sometimes we do share that information earlier or on our Discord and forums and things like that. So definitely follow us in all the places. We're Ashes of Creation. We're super easy to find. Our wonderful Peter, who is our social media manager, does an amazing job keeping that filled with content that you guys can all consume and interacting with you all. So please go check those things out. And of course, we're going to upload the full development update video tomorrow, pending the internet cooperates with us. And of course, the 4K video for the gameplay segment will be out today. And you can find those over on our YouTube channel. And of course, on our next development update, if you want to be spotlighted for a comment, make sure that you leave a comment and subscribe to our channel. That way we can select you. Ooh, little hint there.
Sorry, they said give hint.
There's your hint. And of course, please head on over to our forums.ashesofcreation.com. We have a whole bunch of feedback requests over there, 2 development updates that will be, or dev discussions that are going to be there for you to fill out, as well as the events update as well. So event update forum thread. Give us your feedback.
The hint is that it's in the Riverlands. No, I'm just kidding. It's too good. I love it.
And then we also have the Unseen Order cosmetics that will be ending on January 17th, 2024 at 11 a.m. Pacific. There's an FAQ with all the details of that. And of course, as we noted here, Alpha 2 is coming in 2024. We are excited to have you all join us next year, and it is going to be very fun. Our development team has been kicking butt and working hard, and we are continuing to do so. And it is very exciting. Of course, thank you so much for tuning in today. We hope that you will come watch our next development update. And thank you to Clayton, Amy, and Scott, and all of the developers who have helped with the event stream, and just Ashes of Creation as a whole. And of course, Stephen, for your time. And we will see you all next month.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.